Hey folks, welcome to the Flipside. I'm Sam.
I'm JT.
And this is our top 5 two-player only backpacking games. The idea came from a list that me and Tim Mativier, the person who runs Dice Tower West, did for a panel at Dice Tower West, but we didn't have the caveat that it was going to be two-player only games. We could just put any game on our list that we thought was a good backpacking game. This one, however, is only two-player backpack games. So, backpack games. How big is the backpack? Yeah, that's usually the question that comes up fairly soon after you say backpack games. Think JanSport.
Or a good backpack.
Regular sized backpack.
Size backpack.
Not talking about quality at all.
JT was the Explorer backpack.
The Explorer backpack?
Dora the Explorer.
Dora the Explorer. Backpack. Yeah. JT made the statement on the last list that he thinks all 10 of his could fit into a single backpack.
Yep, I'm pretty sure.
And I'm pretty sure as well. These are smaller games. They're also, because we usually share the complexity rating for them, and these are also lighter games.
Yep.
The average for my entire list was a
1.91.
Exactly. It's a 1.91 from me, so it's really close to a 2, and I think yours pretty...
Mine was a 2.04 for an average.
Yep.
And then the top 5 is probably about a 2.1, so...
Actually, it was a 1.93 for the top 5. It was a 1.88 for the bottom, but again...
He likes heavy games, so heavier games.
Not usually. Not usually. But anyway, that's what we're doing today. Our top 5 two-player only backpack games. Let's hit it. All right, so my number 5 is a game that I've only played a few times, but I've recognized how, and it's only been at one sitting actually, but I enjoy how much game they packed into this and how much cooperation has to happen for you to do well. There's some dice rolling in there, but it's really just how well can you cooperate with the dice that you've rolled with your co-pilot.
That's correct.
Sky Team is my number 5.
I just lost a game of this morning.
You just lost a game of it this morning. The coolest thing about it is that it's one of those games where after you play it once, you want to play it again almost immediately.
Yep.
And you can do that because it comes with, and again, I don't know how many different landing strips come in the base game.
Base game, probably 8 or 10 different ones, and then you flip them over to the back side and they're different. So, I mean, there's a boatload of scenarios. 20 scenarios.
About 20 scenarios. So you can actually do that a lot. And basically, you're playing the same game with different tweaks and differences here and there. I really enjoy this game. I haven't purchased it yet. I probably am going to, even though he owns it. I'm probably going to purchase it at some point because it is one of those games that is just fun for a couple of people to sit down and have a good time together.
I 3D printed the little buttons so they're like textured, so you can see them.
Really?
And then the wind dial is 3D printed now, so it's really cool. But
wow.
Yeah.
Wish I had a 3D printer I could do it.
You do.
I know.
The same one that did mine.
I know how to use.
The same one that printed mine. All right.
Anyway, that's my number 5, Sky Team. Great little game.
Very good pick. Very good pick. My number 5, I would bet a dollar to dime that this is going to be on his list. And if it's not, well, I just lost $1.
It is. I got to lose a dime.
That's right.
I don't know if I like that.
Well, you have to make the bet first. Anyways, this is from Antoine Bauza and Bruno Cathala and Repost Productions. And it's called The Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth. Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth is
I will not take that bet.
That's good. You shouldn't. The Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth is a reprint or a re-theming of Seven Wonders Duel.
Yeah.
In this game, I just really love the way the theme happens, but it's a 2-player game where you're basically creating an engine, drafting cards and gaining whatever's on those cards. In this game, there are 3 ways to win. One is to basically take over Middle-earth or have a certain amount of control over Middle-earth on this little map. It's kind of an area control thing. You can also, whether you're the dark side or the light side. Either Frodo and the hobbits have to get to Mount Doom before the Black Riders catch them. If either one of those things happens, that side wins. And then there's also an alliance deal where you can collect alliance tokens of different races. And once you have a certain number of alliance tokens from different races, you can win that way.
Yep.
But the way the game plays is you're setting down a tableau of cards, some of them face up and face down, and you can only draft the ones that are face up on top of everything else. So you're limited drafting what cards you have available, but if I pull this card off, it might flip over 2 cards for Sam to see before I get to see them. There's just all kinds of... This is just a great game.
Yep.
It's a beautiful production. I really like this implementation and the theme and how connected it all is. So
I've always called it pyramid drafting. I don't know if that's correct.
A good call. Yeah.
I don't know if that's what it's called, but I've always called it that because that's what it reminds me of.
Yep.
But it's a great game, absolutely great, and I absolutely will not take that bet.
You're playing over 3 ages, and the last age, the pyramid in the middle is a ring.
Yes.
Woo!
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. Just simple things. But I like it.
Yep. Very good pick. Very, very good pick. My number 4 is the largest box in my list.
Wow.
And the only reason I picked it is because that box will fit on one side of the backpack while everything else takes up the rest of it. It's a square cylinder, if that makes any sense. It's
gotcha.
an oblong box. This is called Onitama.
Yep.
And this is another game that if you like chess, I think you'll probably enjoy this one. Now, unlike the game that he said was very chess-like, each piece doesn't have their own way to move.
Yeah.
How you can move the pieces on your board are determined by the card that you choose to use on your turn.
Yep.
Only 5 cards are used every game.
Yeah.
You start with 2, your opponent starts with 2, and another one starts off on the side of the board. So the person who goes first has to use one of their 2 moves and then takes that and puts it over on the side and takes the card that's there and replaces it. So you only have 5 moves that are being used throughout the entire game, and you're literally going to give to your opponent the moves that they're going to use to beat you.
Yep.
Or they give them to you, the ones that you use to beat them. That's one of the coolest things about the game, and that's why I feel like it's very chess-like, because in chess you both have the same pieces, you both have the same moves available to you, but you have to figure out how to beat the other person using the same pieces and moves. That's pretty much what you're doing in Onitama as well.
This game really benefits from 2 players. This is one of those games where if you play it, you get better at it.
Yep.
Because of that. But if you know what the 5 cards are, if you can remember all 5 of the actions all the time, then you know what's in their hand and what it's going to do to you if you play this card, or if you give them this card. It's just there's a significant balance there.
Absolutely.
You can play it pretty open, or you can play it extremely competitively. So.
And if you're teaching somebody, you're probably going to want to play open, where, okay, this is what you can do. You can move here and you can move here and all of that kind of stuff. But remember, if you move here, you're going to give me that card, and I can use that card to do this. That's usually how a teaching game goes with somebody who is more experienced. But really great game, really fun to play as well. Onitama, my number 4.
I knew it was going to be on your list.
Yeah.
All right. My number 4 is not going to be on his list. I don't even know if you've played this game yet. Maybe you have. I had a hard time getting a hold of this game. I've had it for some time now, but I had a hard time getting a hold of this game. This is from Cole and Joe Banning and Grimoire Games, which I think it's their first game, and it's called Wizards of the Grimoire.
Nope.
In Wizards of the Grimoire, like I said, it was really hard for me to get a hold of. It's not very prolific out there in the world. But in Wizards of the Grimoire, you're going to start with 10 cards in the middle of the board, 10 spell cards, and you're going to have a deck of mana cards, and those mana cards go from 1 to 4, and you're going to draw a certain number of cards. So you could have whatever mix of 1 to 4s in your hand. On your turn, you're going to get to take a spell card and put it in front of you, which now becomes a part of your tableau, part of your engine. And you can cast those spells by spending enough mana to go on there to cast them.
Right.
The trick is that as you're pulling spells over and casting them to attack the other person, they're doing the same thing. But you have to wait for those mana cards, depending on how many you put on there, to come off round by round before you can reuse that card again. So there's a cooldown on each of these spells that you're trying to combo together to do really cool things.
That's cool.
There's just a really, really neat balance. It's a pretty game. They did such a good job with it. I hope this comes out to little wider markets because it is a really neat game. But that is my number 4, Wizards of the Grimoire.
Yep. I don't think
Battling
I've ever played
Wizards.
It. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I don't think I've ever played it. It didn't sound familiar from your description.
Yep.
So,
but it's pretty cool because you know the 10 cards that are out there. If I leave that one there for you to pick up on your next turn, I know how you're going to combo it type of thing. So, so there's some pretty cool things there.
All right, my number 3 is a game that will definitely fit in a backpack, definitely is 2-player only. The problem with this one is that you might have a little bit of trouble finding a table that will accommodate its footprint. And if you do, you'll probably have to change how it's set up a little bit. We've played it on a train,
I know what he's talking about.
on a table that's about this big, and we just had to snake that freaking path as many times around that table as we can. It worked, but we're talking about Odin's Ravens. And basically in Odin's Ravens, you're each taking on the role of either Huguenin and Munin. I can't remember the actual pronunciation. Got it right, cool. The 2 ravens that are on Odin's shoulders, and he is sending them on a race basically throughout Midgard. And the first raven to get back is the winner. Now, on your turn, you're going to have a hand of land cards that you're going to play. The path is made up of double-sided cards. Well, not really double-sided, but...
double-ended anyway.
Double-ended, yeah, there you go, thank you. Where one raven is going to be on one path, the other one's going to be on the other. And you're going to be playing land cards out of your hand to move across those lands. And the first one to get back is the winner. The kicker is thrown in, though. There's also Loki cards in the deck. Each player has their own deck of Loki cards, and they can use them whenever they want. But when they're out of Loki cards, you can't use any more. And Loki cards allow you to change the path in some way, shape, or form, adding a card to it, flipping the card's orientation. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. It's such a great little back and forth. And often we've found that the game can be lopsided, where one person will absolutely have a commanding win. But we have also experienced the exact opposite of that, where it's been neck and neck and neck and neck and neck and neck and neck, and then somebody finally is able to punch through and win.
Yeah, well, if you get lucky and you get the right cards in your hand and the path turns out right, because it's random too. I mean,
it's all random. So there is a bit of
short enough. It doesn't really matter.
Top of the deck, yeah.
Fun to see.
It's deck. You know how the deck's cards come up. That's basically what it usually relies upon. But it's a fast, little, quick game, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, we love this game a lot. Odin's Ravens, my number 3.
My number 3 is skyrocketing to the top of my favorite games list. I know it's skyrocketing to the top of Melissa's favorite games list.
Memoir 44.
Negative. Negative. Maybe if I played the D&D version. I don't know. Anyways,
go ahead.
That's a good pick, though.
No, it's not.
My number 3 is a game called Kinfire Delve. And this one's particularly, I'll pick Scorn Stockade for this one. I don't know what time I picked for the last one, but there's 3 different modules. Each of these modules has a deck of cards, which is an enemy deck of cards, and 2 characters in it, which have their own deck of cards and their own special abilities. So between the 3, you could actually pick and choose which deck you fight and what characters you use or whatever else. So anytime you leave the house, you just grab one deck and you grab 2 characters and you're good to go. But the way that this works is there's a central deck of cards. There's 4 cards that are around it. Those 4 cards that are around it are the ones you can interact with. You have 7 cards in your hand to start, but this is a game where you don't draw up cards until you're out of cards or until you must draw up. But you're playing these cards along with dice rolls to try to defeat these central cards. They could be bad guys that you have to defeat with red cards and red dice rolls. And most of those cards, when you defeat one, if I defeat this guy, I might be able to top deck 3 of these cards and set them off to the side. So I'm shrinking that deck every time I defeat something. But if I go to defeat it and I fail, there's also a negative effect that happens. You know, you could lose 2 health, you could lose cards, you could lose, you know, whatever else. There's all different kinds of effects that happen. You collectively, between the 2 of you, have 10 health.
Yeah.
So if I lose 2 points, we're down to 8. It's not like, you know, so you're trying to heal, you're trying to help each other. It can be a very difficult game. For sure, it can be a difficult game. You're probably winning 50% of the time, maybe. But it's a great puzzle. It's great fun. It's a lot of interaction. And they're beautiful, beautiful cards. So
That's cool.
That's my number 3, Kinfire Delve. I'm looking forward to, hopefully, if they'll come out with more decks. So
Yep. Sounds good. It's a good pick. My number 2 is another crossover.
I knew it.
It's another crossover, not on this list, but on the other one, because he had it entirely too low.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, Jekyll and Hyde versus
Dang.
Scotland Yard. I really enjoy this. I
Dang.
usually
That's
have,
for it to be the
I
sign.
usually enjoy trick-taking games, and I am newly enjoying much more now cooperative trick-taking games, because there was a point in
They're
time
getting
where I
so
was
good.
like, cooperative trick-taking games, this can't work. Which is kind of a false thought anyway, because in many trick-taking games, you're playing teams.
Yeah, there's a lot of
And
team
team
games
players
like
have
this,
to cooperate with each other in order to win. So it makes sense that you have a cooperative trick-taking game. But 2-player cooperative trick-taking games, that's where it kind of gets a loop thrown in there. And I didn't think it would work, and boy, does it. And this is one of those ones where there are definitely only 2 players, but there's a third deck there that you do have, or a third hand rather, that you do have to contend with, but it's still just a 2-player game, and you're working together in order to beat Scotland Yard. We already talked about it on the other one. It's got great artwork. I love the incremental teaching of the game through the different chapters, and it's interesting how you're building the Scotland Yard deck, so you're actually putting cards into that deck that could possibly beat you later on in that scenario, whatever it might be. There's just so much fun to it, and I really like it. We already talked about it on the other one, so I don't feel like I need to say much more. But Jekyll and Hyde versus Scotland Yard is my number 2. I really enjoy this game, and it looks great. Vintage Dutrait artwork for the win.
Top notch. I'm proud that it's this high. I like that. That's awesome. All right. Well, my number 2 is another crossover. You knew this was going to happen because I put 3D printed parts in it. And that is Sky Team.
Sky Team, that's
Sky
right.
Team's a great game.
Yeah, it is.
I've played this way too many times. The Turbulence expansion is out there, and it's awesome. The Turbulence expansion adds things like foggy weather or whatever else. In the fog, instead of rolling all 4 of your dice, you get to roll 2 of your dice, and then you only get to roll 1 more dice each time, each round. So you have less dice to choose from. There's also, or maybe that's the Turbulence in the fog. I get confused unless I'm looking at them on the board. The other one, you roll your dice, and after you play a dice, you have to re-roll all your dice. So you can't plan ahead like you gotta. Yeah. So there's all kinds of cool things that happen.
Dang.
There's all kinds of modifiers, ice breaks, and you know, taking care of an intern. You got a fuel leak. The runway's hidden by
Taking
fog.
care of an intern?
Yeah, you gotta teach an intern. You gotta use.
So you don't have a co-pilot? It's an intern?
No, you have a co-pilot. You have me and you, but then you also have to make sure that the intern gets enough done during the game. There's all kinds of cool things. There's wind speeds that screw you up, push you too fast or too slow, or all these cool things that you get to do.
That's cool.
Sky Team is a fantastic game.
Yep, absolutely agree with that. All right, my number 1. We're just hitting crossovers every single time here.
I knew this one.
And this is number 1 by far and away, frankly. Lord of the Rings, Duel for Middle-earth is my number 1, and it is such an amazing implementation of a game that I didn't really care that much for, but the re-implementation of the theme was just like, why haven't they done this before now?
I really liked the mechanics of the first one. In fact, the first time Melissa and I played it, I was just like, some of those games, I just fall in love with the mechanics, the way that the game worked. I fall in love with it. And then they put this theme on it, and then it just...
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of like that, but I didn't... I liked Seven Wonders. I loved that game. Seven Wonders Duel was just like, I kind of want to just play Seven Wonders. So I didn't really see the need for Seven Wonders Duel. This comes out, and I'm like, I don't care if I play Seven Wonders ever again.
Ever again. That's right.
Because this is the way... And, you know, you were talking about how they have the ring set up for the third age in this one. It was the same in Seven Wonders Duel.
Is there a ring?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
It was a ring. I actually went back and checked. I own both of them. And I was like, it's the same.
I didn't know
it was so funny. I was like, daggum. It was like,
Good.
I wonder... Probably wasn't, but I wonder if they originally
Not a chance.
pitched. I don't know.
Not a chance.
I don't know. I think that's probably what happened, but this is such a great game, and it looks so good. Even the component quality. I love that little track, that little plastic track where the hobbits are trying to
get to Mount Doom.
Get to Mount Doom, and the
ring wraiths.
Ring wraiths, thank you. Are chasing them. I love that mechanism.
Yeah, cool.
There's just so many cool things about this, and it's all thematic.
Yeah.
It's so awesomely thematically charged. It's just an amazing game. So that's my number one. It is a crossover, so that should tell you something. You should go buy it because
that's a great game.
Anyway, that's my number one. Lord of the Rings: Duel for Middle Earth.
I can tell you, I had a really hard time organizing these ones from 1 to 10. In fact, there were like 3 or 4 more that I had a hard time kicking off of there.
Yeah.
It was really hard for me to organize these from 1 to 10 because all of these are such good games. And a lot of different games.
Yep.
Significantly different games.
Yep.
But my number one is also a crossover. My number one is from Deep Print Games. It's Scott Alms.
Yeah.
And that's Beer and Bread.
Sorry, I jumped the gun on you.
Nope, that's all right. I wrote down bear and bread, just so you know.
Bear.
The bear's coming in. He's going to eat your bread. But anyways, my number one is Beer and Bread. This is a great 2-player Euro game where you have multi-use cards, and on your turn, you're either spending a card to get resources, which you have a very limited pool of resources you can carry.
Yep.
You're spending a card making beer or bread based on, spending your resources to do it, or you're upgrading your board so that your tableau, that your engine is better. And upgrading your board is the only way you can clear the beer and bread out of your warehouses or shops or whatever they are so that you can make more. So you have to do that action.
Yeah.
And sometimes the timing of those actions, but half of the seasons are a
plentiful
closed draft. So you're drafting a card, and then you're going to give that whole hand to the next person or to the other person. So you know what you're giving them and what they're giving you. And that's also excruciating.
Yep.
And then the dry seasons, there's actually a central market, and you keep all the cards in your hand, but you can swap out for this central market. It's just a really good game.
It is.
The mechanisms are put together in such a nice fashion.
Yep.
I really love Beer and Bread. So that's my number one.
Absolutely. Great pick. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 crossovers.
No way.
On our 10.
That'll be a first. We've never had that many.
I don't think we've ever had that many crossovers.
All right.
Wow.
I should have put Targi in there.
Well, there's a lot of games that I probably could have put on there that just chose not to. I'm looking at the other one. Nope, none of these are 2 players. So
no, I could have put Targi in there. Could have put Onitama in there. Pretty easy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what some of the other ones. There were a few other ones that were right there. So
great.
Even Fox in the Forest. So.
Yep. 2-player games are really good. You usually have to have a pretty good staple of 2-player games just for those times when you only got a couple people, whether it's at a game night, all the games are ongoing, and you got a couple people that show up a little bit later, sit down and play a quick 2-player game while you're waiting for the other games to chop out. Or this is to keep you going from each game day to each game day with a significant other or that other friend. Great games, 2-player games, so don't downplay them at all. Anyway, that is our top 5 2-player backpacking games. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.
You got a backpack on one side, you got an 8-foot folded table on the other side, you're good to go.
Good to go. Absolutely.
See you later.